All right, welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive. It seems like anxiety is just everywhere these days. You can't really escape it.
It's definitely a common thread in the tapestry of modern life.
Yeah, it is. So we
Yeah.
thought, well, why not look to the past for some answers?
Yeah.
Tap into some ancient wisdom.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah, so today we're going to be diving into an excerpt all about how ancient Buddhist wisdom can be, well, surprisingly relevant for dealing with that very modern problem of anxiety.
Excellent.
So whether you're, prepping for that big meeting or just looking for a little bit more peace and quiet in your day-to-day life, this deep dive's for you. Stick with us.
Let's get started.
Okay, so first up, we've got to talk about mindful breathing.
Mm.
I know you've probably heard this one like a million times before, but honestly, there's a reason it's a classic, right?
Right.
It's simple, but it works.
I think people underestimate the power of simplicity.
Yeah, totally. So what's the big deal with mindful breathing? What's actually going on there?
Well, when we get anxious, our thoughts start racing, we tense up, our heart might be pounding, right?
Mhm.
Mindful breathing kind of hits the pause button on all that. It brings your attention to the present moment by, zeroing in on the physical sensation of each inhale and each exhale.
It's like anchoring yourself in the here and now instead of getting swept away by all those anxious thoughts about the past or the future.
Exactly. It breaks the cycle.
Okay, I'm getting a visual here.
Yeah.
Imagine you're about to give a presentation. You're feeling those butterflies in your stomach.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, right? So before you even pull up your slides, what if you just took a few mindful breaths?
Just that little pause can make a world of difference.
Really?
Yeah, you create a little space to breathe, regain your composure, and approach the task with a much calmer and clearer mind.
I love that.
It works.
Okay, so moving on, let's talk about another technique that can cultivate calm. And this one is loving kindness meditation. So this one is more than just, being nice to people. This is about actively cultivating compassion and warmth, starting with, guess who?
Yourself.
Yourself,
Like
exactly.
Netflix there.
I'll admit, when I first heard about this one, I thought, really? Just repeating some phrases to myself.
I know, it sounds pretty basic.
Right. But then I started thinking about it, and I was like, well, everyone has that inner critic, right? That voice that's constantly judging and second-guessing.
Oh yeah, it's always lurking.
Yeah. So if just repeating a few phrases can help soften that inner critic, then I am all ears.
Well, here's the key. The key is to actually feel the sentiment behind the words. You're not just mindlessly reciting them.
Gotcha.
So you might start by repeating phrases like, may I be well, may I be happy, may I be peaceful.
Okay.
And then you can gradually extend those wishes outward to others.
So it's like a ripple effect, starting with yourself and then spreading outward.
Exactly. And, even silently repeating a phrase like, may I be well, for a few moments can create a subtle shift in your energy.
Interesting. So we're basically retraining our brains to be kinder, both to ourselves and to others, which in turn reduces anxiety.
Exactly.
I like that.
Yeah, it's powerful stuff.
It really is. Okay, so let's shift gears a little bit and talk about a concept that I think builds on this idea of shifting our internal state. And this one's called non-attachment. Now, I'll be honest, this one might sound a little bit abstract at first, but stick with me because it's really about finding freedom from the things that cause us stress.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Yeah, so tell me, what's the connection between non-attachment and anxiety?
Well, a lot of times our anxiety comes from being overly attached to things being a certain way,
Like having expectations and then freaking out when things don't go according to plan.
Exactly. And it's not about apathy or indifference. It's not about not caring about anything.
Right.
It's more about learning to observe our thoughts and feelings without getting totally swept away by them.
Okay, that makes sense. But how do you actually do that? It's easy to say, don't get swept away, but when you're in the middle of an anxiety spiral, it can feel impossible, like you're drowning.
Okay, let me try to paint a picture for you. Imagine your mind is a flowing river, and your anxious thoughts are leaves floating on the surface.
Okay, you can see it.
Non-attachment is like sitting on the riverbank watching those leaves float by. You acknowledge them, you see them, but you don't jump in and get carried away by the current.
So instead of getting caught up in all those what-ifs and worries, we learn to just observe them and let them pass.
Exactly. Now, I'm not going to lie, that takes practice.
Of course.
But over time, it can be incredibly liberating.
I can definitely see how that would apply to so many situations. Like, let's say you're stressing about a presentation, right?
Sure.
You want it to go perfectly, but deep down, you know you can't control every single outcome.
Right.
So with non-attachment, you can still prepare and do your best, but you're also accepting that things might not go exactly as planned. It takes the pressure off.
It's about finding that sweet spot between effort and acceptance.
Right, right. I like that. Effort and acceptance.
Hmm.
Okay, next up, let's talk about something that feels like the complete antidote to all that negativity bias that we tend to have, and that is gratitude.
Ah, yes. Gratitude. A powerful force.
It really is.
You know, it's not about pretending everything's perfect or denying challenges, but rather it's about consciously shifting your perspective to focus on the good in your life, even when things are tough.
Like actively choosing to see the good stuff.
Absolutely. It can be a really simple practice, too.
Yeah.
Just take a moment right now and think of 3 things you're grateful for. Doesn't matter how small they are. Just notice how it shifts your energy.
Well, yeah, I already feel a little bit lighter. Okay, let's move on to body scanning. This one is all about reconnecting with our physical selves, because that's often where anxiety shows up first, right?
Absolutely.
Like tight shoulders, racing heart, all that fun stuff.
Right, right. And often we tense up without even realizing it. So body scanning is about bringing mindful awareness to each part of your body. Notice any sensations you're feeling, whether it's tension, warmth, tingling, whatever it is. And then you gently release that tension with each exhale.
It's like giving yourself a mini massage from the inside out.
Exactly. And you know what? This actually ties back to mindful breathing.
Oh, how so?
Well, the breath can be an anchor during the body scan. You can start by bringing your attention to your toes, notice any sensations there, and then slowly move your awareness up through your body, breathing into any areas of tension and just gently letting go.
That sounds really relaxing.
It can be very grounding.
Okay, last but not least, let's tackle a big one. Embracing impermanence.
Ah, yes.
This is like a core Buddhist concept.
Yes, absolutely foundational.
Yeah, it might be the most challenging, but it also has the potential to be the most liberating when it comes to dealing with anxiety.
I agree.
Okay, so break it down for me. What does embracing impermanence actually mean?
Well, the basic idea is that everything is in constant flux.
Everything.
Everything. Our feelings, situations, even ourselves. Nothing stays the same forever.
So instead of resisting change or desperately clinging to how we want things to be, we learn to just accept the flow of life.
You got it. And here's the thing. Understanding that everything is temporary can actually be a huge source of comfort.
Really? How so?
Well, it helps us let go of that need to control everything, which, let's face it, is a major source of anxiety.
That's so true. I mean, how many times have we worried about things that never even ended up happening?
Exactly. And even the things that do happen, well, they too will change.
So recognizing impermanence allows us to focus on what we can control in this moment, rather than getting lost in all those anxious thoughts about the future.
Exactly. It's a profound shift in perspective.
It really is. Wow. Okay, so we've covered a lot today. Mindful breathing, loving-kindness meditation, non-attachment, gratitude, body scanning, and embracing impermanence. That's quite the toolkit.
It is. And remember, even taking small steps with these practices can make a big difference.
Totally. It's about finding what works for you and integrating it into your life in a way that feels authentic and sustainable.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So as you start experimenting with these techniques, I want you to pay attention to how they impact not just your anxiety levels, but also your relationships and your overall well-being. It makes you wonder, could cultivating inner peace actually ripple outwards and create more peace in the world around you?
Something to think about.
I like that. Something to think about.
All right, until next time.
See you then.